17 members and associates of the Hells Angels are facing criminal charges in a violent attack.
Federal agents allege the Outlaws sold drugs, traded firearms, and engaged in insurance fraud and even tampered with government witnesses.
We have learned there is cell phone video as well as surveillance video of evidence in this attack.
The U.S. Attorney characterized today's raids as historic, the largest federal bust on organized criminal gang activity.
Retaliation is common for crimes involving biker gangs. However, it could happen anywhere because of how interconnected gangs have become nationwide.
The 3-year investigation resulted in 42 federal indictments on a variety of charges, including racketeering, money laundering, drugs, gambling, insurance fraud, and extortion.
There's a bunch of bikers up here, and they're shooting guns and stuff. I need the police now.
Play on foot going towards 2nd Street. Okay, receive.
Then you see a pack of Hells Angels going by, people are going to want to look. Next thing you know, cars, because they're just staring at us and not paying attention to stop traffic.
If you wanted to break the law on an everyday norm, you should have joined a street gang. That's what they're known for. That's what they do. You're not allowed to steal cars on my block. We steal those cars.
I mean, it was so bad by us in Vegas. I was in the pool swimming, and the guys came back, "Hey, Pee-wee, the cops are here. They want to talk to you." I said, "Well, go talk to them. Find out what they want." And they came back, they go, "They want to talk to you."
Typically, if you leave the club, if you haven't been in for 10 years, you're automatically out back.
Got put out in 2006, back in 2007, wound up going into Chattin 2011. Came out of there, I had 4.5 years to walk off with zero support from that club.
Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today we're going to talk about the Outlaws under fire in Indiana. There's a lot going on. Craziness. There's people on both sides of the fence about what happened in the bar. Honestly, I don't think there's any reason for them to beat a guy down like that. It was insane. But we got a special guest joining us today. Former outlaw, Bob.
Hey, Billy, how are you, brother?
How are you, Bob?
Good to see you again.
Yeah, great to see you. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you guys go check out Bob at Biker News Canada. He's a former outlaw. And I wanted to get your perspective on everything that's going on and the look it has on the motorcycle club when things like this happen.
Yeah, it's a horrible look for the club itself, isn't it?
Terrible.
You know, just in this day and age, and people just aren't really acting like that anymore. But I did receive some information yesterday. I may as well do a shout out to Black Dragon. I was watching Black Dragon in the chat and all that. Black Dragon Biker News TV. Check him out when you can, everybody. And from way was explained by people who were in the bar when the incident happened, who happened to be on Dragon's chat. It wasn't the club who was yelling out the racial slurs, but it was the club that came in and took the guy out of the club. And there's no getting around that. It's on video. It's pretty hard to dispute that fact.
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna drop a link for Black Dragon's channel. Make sure you guys go subscribe. Yeah, they were hitting him with chairs, and they brought it a little far. He was a big guy.
He's a big dude.
There's a lot of conflicting reports, though. Black Dragon did a show earlier this morning, and he was saying that the guy was in the bar all day. He's a regular. He goes there a lot, and he was pretty drunk, and he's like an argumentative type of person. Yeah. And I guess he wanted to rent the bar or something like that. There was a disagreement that was going on, and they asked him to leave, and then he was arguing with them about how much the bar tab was.
Yeah.
It wasn't that he wasn't going to pay it. It's just
he thought that things got added to his bar tab that, he did not ask for or take, right?
Yeah, something like that.
But
we got a lot of people in the house. Richard, what's up? Lindsay, how are you?
Oh, good.
Let's see here. Brandon, what's going on, man? We got some big things to do. Brandon, Tommy, what's good? Make sure you go check out the show we did yesterday. Part 2 is out from yesterday when the girls shot up the Hells Angels clubhouse in the Iron Range. Trouble on the range. And
that was
today,
a great story too, eh?
Insane.
They brought up the R word on guys in a 1% motorcycle club, and right, I reported on that story too. I did a show about it on my channel, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of things that guys in bike clubs will do. You know, some guys will do whatever, but you're not gonna find a member of a 1% club doing a hard R on somebody. They don't need to. They have enough people throwing themselves at them. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know if you ever heard of Pat Matter. He's the biggest rat in history with the Hells Angels.
No.
He was out in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He turned against he
turned on his whole chapter, didn't he? Was
Yeah,
he the president of the chapter?
Yeah, and he was recording people, and he still got 20 years in prison, so he didn't even help himself. So he lives right in Minnesota, right where he used to be at. He's still there, still walking around the same place. Now he is on a documentary, and he says that they told him to do that to a woman to get into the club, and he did it.
He claims that was part of his thing, eh? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite a claim to make.
It's pretty wild. I mean, it's right there on camera. He said it. Like, he's told them, you're going to do this, and he did it.
I've heard of guys, getting their red wings. That sounds gross.
So there's a long history of racism out in Indiana. I'm not saying that the outlaws out there are racist, but there is a lot of history of racism out in Indiana. And it says hate crime, ? Black man beaten and berated with the N-word by Indiana biker gang in viral video. Now, I think there's a misconception there because it wasn't the biker club members that were screaming the word.
Right.
Right-wingers, most delusional and gaslighting attempts to convince people of otherwise. Racism is still alive and well in the United States of America in 2025. And we are not talking about systemic racism or other forms of less tangible bigotry. We're talking about the classic violent American racism of the good old boys grannies used to make. The real S used to make you feel S. According to the Wayne article, such incident occurred this past Saturday night, May 31st, at Pike's Pub, a bar in Fort Wayne, Indiana. While a chain of events leading up to the racist melee is somewhat unclear, police say they received a call about a drunk individual who was being asked to leave the property. Before they could arrive on the scene, all hell broke loose. The pub owner, Kelly Roast, told the police an unidentified man refused to pay his tab, but will take that claim with a half a cup of salt, it says. The black man, the victim of a white man's hate crime, they say. I don't believe that, because I think these guys were trying to get him out of the bar. Things got heated. One of these bikers hit the dude, and then, once one of them goes, they all go.
Yeah.
So it says the white man's hate crime was taken. The black male victim of the white man's hate crime, it says, was taken to the hospital and treated and listed in fair condition. However, he chose not to participate with police during the investigation. Upon the request, as of yesterday, no arrests have been made. The surrounding community is righteously indigent of the situation and has made it their business to stand outside of the bar in protest of the beating. So
I wonder how that tape got out in the public. Because those look like the surveillance tapes from inside the club, didn't they?
No.
Oh, the people
Someone,
with
a
their phones?
Patreon recorded this. They're sitting at a table. The Patreon recorded this.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you see most of the other patrons sitting around in the photos. They all look like old bikers. Most of them, don't they?
I've been leery of playing the video because, you can't. I listen, I'll play a clip of it. How about that? Ready? We're going to mute it, and I'll play a clip.
Everyone's going to see on the video what they want to see, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
See, you see the dudes walking. And shout out to Demons Row TV for the shout out yesterday. I really appreciate it.
Good old Sos.
Yeah, shout out to Sos the Ghost. See the guy right there in the reflective vest. He maybe he's a worker or something, wears a reflective vest. He's a big dude.
He's a big dude.
I can't really play the audio. I'm not going to play the audio because we don't want to do that. You can see it's being filmed from this table. So these people who filmed it obviously know the people who own the bar, possibly, right? They're probably regulars. This seems like a hole in the wall type of bar where they go there every day and it's the same people, same bar stools. And this guy starts walking over.
I agree, Brandon. It is a smear campaign, but it's a smear campaign coming from whoever released this video on the social media.
100%.
That's who's doing the smear campaign. Whether they meant to or not, that's going to be the end result of it. He's right. Brandon's right.
Like, so why would they call the motorcycle club to come take this guy out of the bar? They couldn't get anyone else to come get him out of the bar?
When I worked in a bar, when I was a friend of the club, before I was ever a member, we would call the certain members to come over if we had guys we couldn't deal with.
And they'd be wearing their cuts?
It happens. Yeah, maybe. Well, if they're on their bike, they're wearing their cut anyway. So if they happen to be on their bike, the cut's on.
Yeah, but I mean, if something even close to this type of stuff is going to transpire, you don't want guys wearing their cuts, right?
Well, you would think not, but then again, maybe they thought they were just walking into a, hey, buddy, pay up your tab, we'll see you tomorrow situation. And instead of going like that, it went the way it went.
Yeah, because you don't know what this guy said to him up close.
Right. And as you're walking in the building with 4 or 5 of your brothers, you're not thinking you've got to throw any fists at that point. There's enough of you.
Yeah, normal people just back down and be like, all right, I'm gonna leave.
Right. How much do I owe? Here's your money. See you tomorrow.
But it seemed like he was trying to walk out and they said, oh no, you're paying your tab. And then I think he had a problem with the number that the tab came up to. That's where the problem came in, right?
Yeah. And like you say, from what we learned yesterday on Dragon, the owner was a longtime supporter of the club. The bartender was one of the club members' old ladies, and et cetera, et cetera. So the club had strong ties to the establishment. And they will come in and protect an establishment they have strong ties to as if it was their own.
Yeah, I believe that. So here, I'll play a little bit more. I can't play too much of it, though, once it starts getting out of hand. But the slurs were coming from these people close to this table right here.
That's what I thought, too. And even behind them, maybe.
And this is where they're saying, oh, no, you're paying your tab. You're paying your tab, motherfucker.
And it feels like some of the patrons were egging it on so it turned into a fist fight. Did you notice that?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
And
then once it started, they're like, get him, get him.
Yeah, get him, get that, and get that. And no, you don't talk like Lindsay said. We're in 2025, and, it's diversity these days. What are you going to do? You're gonna go back to the 50s? You can't segregate. That's insanity.
No, and people are like, why was he in this bar? I mean, come on. We're living in the times where you can be mixed in with other people. This is not 1950. You know what I'm saying?
The only place that doesn't hold true is inside federal penitentiaries, or most jails, even the smaller jails.
Well, no, out here in Connecticut, you can mix with different races. It's really not like that here.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, if something pops off, like, you know what it is, you got to
Yeah,
go
yeah,
with your
yeah.
people,
Yeah,
regardless.
yeah. You got a car, isn't that what they
But
call
you
it?
can
Car?
you can play cards with them. You can cook food with them. It's not
We
like
should be able to. We're all people. Jesus,
I know.
man. Like,
I
we're
don't get it.
people.
I don't get it. I never seen race as a dividing issue ever. I look at people as people, you know.
Right.
But I think they are definitely. I mean, things got out of hand on both sides, right?
Yeah.
And I think the fallback is coming at the club.
Right. Right. That'll be where it goes. And like Brandon said, it's a smear campaign against the Outlaws Motorcycle Club because of how the video looks. So you can't really dispute what the video shows.
But a lot of people say, "Oh, why do you even have to say that they're in the club and all this?" Because they wear their patches. If you're wearing your patch, you represent the whole club, right?
Right, right. And like any other club and any other group of people, even if it's not a motorcycle club, if you go back and back and back and back into the oldest guys that are still maybe kicking around or on retirement and they're in their late 60s, early 70s, there was a lot of racism back then, man. It just society changed and the bike clubs changed with society. So yes, if you get a really old guy and that's how he grew up back in the 50s and stuff when he was coming up, then that's what he is.
He ain't gonna change.
You can't change a person, right?
No.
You can try to, and like I say, the clubs, the different clubs, I as far as I'm aware of, there was black members in the Outlaws Motorcycle Club in Europe.
When you were, but in the States there wasn't, right?
Not that I was aware of, but I'm 20 some years out of the club, so I can't really speak for today. But in the States when I was around, no, not that I knew of.
When you went to London,
yeah, when I went to England,
there were members.
Two of the guys that patched over from the British Outlaws were black, and they came on board, as far as I know. So and the HAs is the same, and the Banditos is the same. When you get in other countries, you have to act like that country acts. You can't bring your craziness from your country into the. So when you get to Britain, it's very, very, it's very progressive England. So back even when I was there, our biggest partner at the workout at the gym was the Rastafarian man. And his mom would send us over the jerk chickens and stuff to eat. You boys don't eat. And she'd send us over food, man. Delicious, man.
Yeah.
So, and that's how it was. And another one of their big friends was like Indian descent from India, right? In that part of the world. And again, homosexuals in England, nobody cares. It's not a big deal.
They don't bat an eye, right?
Freddie Mercury, all those rock stars, the guy from Judas Priest, all them guys are gay or whatever, right? Nobody cares. It don't mean nothing.
Only over here they care.
Over here it gets weird, eh?
Yeah.
And over here, and mostly, I hate to say it, in the States, more so than Canada even.
Yeah.
So
I definitely noticed that. So what do you think's next for the motorcycle club in Fort Wayne?
I don't think they're going to issue any apologies or anything, if that's what anyone's expecting. I've never seen the Outlaws issue an apology. You know what I mean? And basically for what their involvement was of that incident, they were just doing for a friend what they would have done for any friend, no matter who the patron was.
And they weren't the ones yelling the racial slurs. That's
right.
A big thing. Like, they're making it seem racist biker club, biker gang, racist biker gang.
Somebody else there wants a hate crime pinned on one of those guys.
Seems like it.
That's what somebody wants. That's their mission, is to get one of them guys, all of them guys, some of them guys pinned with a hate crime because it looks bad. Now you can put that on the list of things when you're talking shit about 1%er clubs. You can put that into the list.
Yeah.
They're very racist and blah, blah, been charged with hate crimes.
So it says here, since the inception 90 years ago, the club has since grown to more than 1,700 members across 176 chapters in the U.S. and abroad, according to the U.S. Justice Department. Some of the club's defining features include its logo, the skull on top of two crossed pistons known as Charlie, and the club's motto, God forgives and outlaws don't. According to federal indictment in 2012, members must be over 21 years old, own a Harley Davidson or another American-made motorcycle. Probationary members, known as probates, are brought into chapters through a lengthy process to determine how committed a potential member will be, while ensuring police cannot infiltrate the club, according to court documents. The process starts when a prospective member hangs around the club for enough time to become a hang-around, whom may perform menial tasks and other duties to gain respect of the members. From there, the outlaw member can sponsor a hang-around and make them a probate, who must follow orders from members. The last step involves the chapter making an anonymous vote to have the probate become a full badge member. And your whole
I can't
thing,
even believe how much shit that they have out there that the feds release to the public about the inner workings of these clubs now. They
it's
got
crazy.
The age, they got a bunch of the bylaws, and they're just releasing them out there, man. That's private stuff. Brandon makes a point. Brandon, are you a member of Bacchus MC in Canada? There is an MC up here in Canada called Bacchus. Bet you Hells Angels and other rivals are blasting the racial component to this so they can take the heat off of themselves. And that's true. I think Bill and I spoke about that one of our interviews, is each club will talk, point out all the worst points of the other club to get you to become a member, right? Don't go there. They're going to make you do this. Come with us. We're not like that.
Yeah, they'll be on the side of degrading the other side to make it seem like they're not the place to go, right?
Okay.
He said, "No, I'm not a member."
Okay, I just wondered. It was just curious because your name there, like I say, there's an MC. It's a 1% club up here, and that's her name, Bacchus.
So, the Fort Wayne, in the past 13 years, the Outlaws and Fort Wayne chapter have been subject to multiple investigations. The FBI raids also spilled across Indiana. 2012, several police agencies led by the FBI raided former Outlaws clubhouse in the northwest corner of Main and Cherry Street in downtown Fort Wayne, which led to authorities to seizing 35 guns and more than $1,400 in cash, cars, and more than a dozen motorcycles, cocaine amongst other drugs. Dozens of outlaw members across Indianapolis and Fort Wayne were arrested following raids for various charges, ranging from illegal gambling, fraud, extortion. Two Fort Wayne members at the time, I'm not going to say their names, faced charges during the investigation and received federal sentences of 70 and 46 months, respectively, for participating in illegal activities under the umbrella of the Outlaws, it says. One of them pleading guilty to racketeering charges against him, and court documents say his case was outlined with a few incidents where he agreed upon it is true by all parties. In one of the cases, the Outlaws Fort Wayne chapter intimidated and assaulted another motorcycle club in Butler for speaking ill towards the Outlaws. In the other case, the Outlaws learned a member reportedly stole $17,000 from the chapter's treasury. As a result, the group took items that bore the Outlaws logo and insignia and had a tattoo artist black out the man's Outlaws tattoos, which caused the man to bleed significantly. Both incidents happened in 2011, according to court records. 2015, federal agents raided Main Street Clubhouse again, although the neighbors at the time said nobody had been showing up to the building in a couple of weeks prior to the raid. According to the Outlaws website, the club has 7 locations in Indiana, including second Northeast Indiana location in Warsaw. Business records show Fort Wayne chapter has been listed as a domestic nonprofit under the name, I won't say the name, but they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chapters out in Indiana. So that's a pretty big stronghold for them.
That's a strong state. That one.
Definitely. Yeah.
I know for a while the big guy for the whole thing for a while was from that state. Unfortunately, he got kind of tied up somehow in the Canadian guys' investigation. And as far as I know, the poor guy got RICO'd and he's down there. He's sitting it out. And RICO's a life means life in the States. Life in Canada means you're eligible for parole in 25. That's the most severe sentence, except for unless they call you a dangerous offender. Then that's the only open-ended sentence is a dangerous offender.
Yeah.
And that's for like serial killers or multiple killers and stuff like that's a DO. And everyone else, if it's a straight up murder, one charge is 25. You can get in front of the board. It doesn't mean they'll let you out, but you can sit there in front of them and plead your case.
See here, different states have different ranges of sentences. Like if you get arrested and convicted of murder in the state of Connecticut, you're doing 60 years. So
60?
your life is over. Yeah. But in other states, murder charge carries 20, 25.
I've heard of guys down in the South getting out after 10 years on a murder bed.
Yeah. So it depends on what state you're in. It really depends on what state you're in if you're going to be out again or not.
That's so crazy, eh? But what about if it's like a federal RICO is a life means life? Is that not true?
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah. But state charges I'm talking about, state charges are different. In each state, it's different. The life sentences ranges from different in each state. Because murder 2 here carries 15 to 40. Murder first here carries 60 years. 60.
Unbelievable, eh? Like you say, 60 years is basically a life sentence, depending on the range.
Yeah, you ain't getting out. Spider, what's going on? Thank you for joining me today. We got a lot of people piled in here. Shout out to everybody. Tommy, what's good?
Yeah, and Brandon and Tommy are active on the chat. I like that. I can spend an hour talking to the chat if I'm in the right frame of mind. I don't even have to have a story.
Yeah.
So you're up in Minnesota. Isn't that up where that Iron Range kind of was in that area? Wasn't that Minnesota?
Yeah, Brandon. That's where I used to live out there too, man. I lived in Minneapolis. Right out there. Yeah. The Iron Range is up north, isn't it, Brandon?
And he's in St. Paul. Where's St. Paul? It's a big state. They're saying that Minneapolis could become part of Canada. Never mind Canada becoming the 51st state.
Yeah, it was it was far. It was far as hell. I didn't like it. It was too
cold up there, man.
Hey, look at this bike, man. How many people you know with this bike?
Yeah, man.
The new DUI Glide.
Isn't that the best? That was such a good one.
Oh, how many people you know with this bike?
But yeah, I think it's going to be a smear campaign against the Outlaws. The Outlaws are going to do what they always do, which is the smart way. Just keep your head down for a while. Don't talk to any reporters. Don't talk to any strangers.
Let it blow over.
I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. I wasn't there. I don't know.
Do you think charges would be filed against?
I got a feeling that they're going to sneak some charges on a couple of these guys, man.
Yeah.
I hope not. Because again, I don't think they went in there looking for a fist fight. I think they went in there just to tell the man to pay his tab. And he was a regular. So pay the tab. We'll see you tomorrow. They probably know the guy.
Yeah.
If they hang out there and he's a regular, I bet you anything they've interacted before.
100%.
Yeah, man. So that's what I think. I don't think that they were going in there looking for a fist fight. They probably knew who they were already going in there to talk to. When the bartender called her old man who happens to be in the club, allegedly. This is all just information I picked up along the way. And, it's, hey, it's so-and-so's being a dick. Can you come on down here? He happened to be with a couple of his brothers. And let's go on down there and go talk to so-and-so. And it went sideways.
You said the Iron Range is in Virginia, Minnesota. That's right.
I maybe heard that one.
So they dropped those charges without prejudice, meaning they could bring them back. I have a feeling that there's some big things transpiring behind the scenes, and I think they're probably going to hit them with a RICO.
Which one? The HA guys?
Yeah.
And then that's the thing down there is they can just keep trying to add it up and let it run into a RICO, and they can take 5-10 years on a thing if they want to, if that's how long it takes.
Yeah, and this, they'll let you keep going. Go ahead. They'll let it
They'll
pile
keep
up.
sending the snitch making deals with you for 5 years.
100%.
It's just every time you do a transaction, it's another charge. It's another charge. It's another
If they
charge.
got one in the club already, then that's a big jackpot for them, right?
Right. And see, that article that you were reading said that they have not been able to infiltrate the Outlaws, like directly. As in have an officer who's wearing a badge of some department as a member. They've never got that far. And they say Tony Tate got that far down in Arizona, was it? Or New Mexico on the Hells Angels.
No, that Jay Dobbins. They said that never happened. He never got him.
The Hells Angels dispute that fact. And I would tend to believe the Hells Angels. They know who they gave a patch to and who they didn't.
I believe that they did, that he set up that fake murder situation and they put a jacket over him.
And I believe that he had a cut, but I also believe the way that the HAs explained it, because it's how it goes in clubs. You might receive your thing at your home chapter, but all the rest of the chapters have to vote about it still too. So you're not official until all the chapters have had their say. And if one says no, then they take the cut back. Sorry, bud. California said no, or whatever the case is.
Definitely.
The dude in Alaska, that's Tate, isn't it? Isn't Tate the guy? Jay Dobbin was down south. I think it was Tony Tate in Alaska. I think that was his name.
Was it Tony Tate?
Yeah. Yeah, I get a bunch of those too, Richard, on my shows. I'll have about 2 people in the chat and about 6 people watching and stuff like that. It's all good. As long as there's eyes on your videos, then we're getting some progress with our channels.
I think it's funny that people comment when Jay Dobbins is on, you rat, you this, you that. He was a cop, though. Like, that's his job. He was a DEA agent. That was his job. It's different. Like when it's Pat Matter. Pat Matter, like a full-fledged outlaw, goes from being on this side of the law to switching. But Jay Dobbins was always on this side of the law. He just tricked you.
Well, if you think that a guy's going to go from wearing a police badge to wearing a 1% diamond without getting kicked out on his background check, then you got rocks in your head. They're not going to take anyone who was ever in law enforcement. End of story.
Do you think the people have slipped through the cracks, though?
I don't think so. That's pretty important, right? Boy, wouldn't your club look stupid if you let an actual FBI guy into your outfit?
Well, I mean, there's people who have been police officers, former police officers who were in some part of the Big Four, and they made it all the way in, all the way up the ranks.
They made it, eh?
Yeah, Gorilla in the Pagans was a police officer.
Wow.
Yeah, Manny Vitale, Manny Vitale, the guy that I interviewed with the Highwaymen. He was a former police officer.
Now I get word back that Pee Wee's out bad now. Along the way,
he's been out. Yeah, he's been out bad for a while.
Oh yeah, somebody told me he said something to somebody he shouldn't have. He gun rights back. Who's this? Pat Garrett. I don't know who Pat Garrett is, Tommy or Jerry. Oh, so you guys got some examples. Pat Matter.
I don't think Pee Wee cares about any out bad. He quit the club. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't need to be good anyway. He doesn't care, you know?
Right. He's not going back to a club event anytime soon or anything.
No.
And like you say, if he left on his own accord, a lot of times they'll come back after the fact and say, I'm catching some heat for doing interviews with you. They wouldn't have even known it, except I told one guy who was allegedly being my friend. All of a sudden, he's like, "Oh, you should have done that." What do you mean, man? I do what I want. I'm a grown man. I didn't say anything. I've never talked about the club, and in most cases, except for on your show, I never mentioned the Outlaws' name.
No.
Your show's the only one I ever said. I used to be a member of that particular club, right? And it was
and you never got into any club business, any details like that. I heard your story. You told me about your experience,
right?
Going
and that's
through the
what
club.
I want to talk about. What I did, what my experience was, because it was a cool ride. It's not a bad story talk saying that joining the club took me anywhere bad. It's just you got to watch your surroundings and be aware, man. If you're gonna
I've never heard you talk ill of the club either.
No, and I never will. I love that club, man. I loved it. It was my thing.
Big Red, what's going on?
And that's how you'll find most members and past members are about their clubs. Why would you spend that many years of your life in something and talk shit about it?
And Pee Wee doesn't bash the club either.
Nope.
He doesn't bash them.
Nope. In fact,
he doesn't like certain people, but I mean, you're not gonna like everyone, right?
Oh, geez, right. It was in chapters. It's like if you work with 6 guys, you probably only get along with 5 of them at your job setting.
Yeah,
it's just how life is.
Have you ever had where maybe you didn't like people that were in opposite charters?
Yeah.
Maybe you weren't too fond of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happens all the time, right?
And the worst thing is you have to watch out for if you're starting to have a beef with another member and they're savvy or they've been around for a long time, you got to watch yourself. So it's best just to stay neutral or don't say anything about anyone at all. Because if somebody wants to come around back and politic you, and all of a sudden you're going down the road for something that's not a big thing, but somebody blew it up into a big thing. You know what I mean? It happens.
I think that dude's a cornball. That dude Twitch 1%er. Cornball. The guy that put a restraining order on the woman.
Oh
yeah.
My God.
Yeah, he's a 1%er. He put a restraining order on a woman.
Unbelievable, eh?
It is. It's really crazy.
But they say Sonny did too about his old lady. So who knows, right? There's some old 911 call floating around with his voice on it, but I wasn't there. And you know what? Nobody else was there either. There was him and his old lady and the person on the other end of that phone.
And Sonny Barger was not buried as like he doesn't have a Hell's Angel headstone. He's not buried like the rest of the members.
So they did consider that phone call that big of a deal.
I mean, they did give him a big funeral, but I'm not sure.
Logo.
No, the logo's not on his headstone. He doesn't have like those other members in Oakland have.
Yeah.
Or he's not buried there. I mean, that's the place where all the members are usually buried together, right?
And he was originally from that chapter, was he not? So they would have taken him back there if they were holding him in that high esteem.
100%. So I
don't know. Even the small chapters in Canada at the grave sites, there's a Charlie on that grave stone somewhere, bro. 100% there is. If a man spent all the way of his life until he went in the ground in that club, then that club shows him his due respect.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did not get a Hell's Angel funeral. Or he got a Hell's Angel funeral, but there is no mention of the Hell's Angels on his tombstone or any of that.
Because I tell you, that's one thing that you go to a lot of when you're in a big club is funerals, man. I never went to so many funerals until I was in the club. No members, close friends of the club, all that stuff, man. You spend a lot of time going to funerals, I tell you.
You have how many have you gone to? Being there are other members buried where he is, but he never did get back into the Oakland chapter. That's why he's not buried in that area.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He doesn't even have a thing on his tombstone.
No death head, eh?
A lot of people claim that he was the founder and all, but he was never the founder.
No, he wasn't the founder.
He was a pretty big
he was a big face of the club for a lot of years.
Definitely.
And he didn't mind giving a little blurb for the news. And there it is there. You're right. Not much on that at all.
This is what they look like. The normal. See in the background?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. There's a whole bunch of angels. And same as the graveyard in my city. So there's the two guys that got my thing kind of started. And then there's 4 other brothers all in the same part of the graveyard.
So they bury them together.
Yeah, we bought as many plots together as we could at the time. Yeah.
So now, being that you're kind of like retired, would you get an outlaw funeral?
No.
Why?
Because I haven't stayed in touch with the club. There's 2 ways you can do retirement. The way they want you to, which is stay in touch with the club. We'll keep you a set of rags for you at the clubhouse. If there's a big event going on, once a year, we'd like you to come over and make an appearance sort of thing. And then there's the way I did it, which was the Band-Aid approach. Because if I knew myself, if I started hanging around again, I'd put the patch back on and I'd be back wearing orange in no time.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to wear orange again just because my family was young, my daughter was young, and my boy was born shortly after I left the club.
Now, do you regret doing that, or do you think it would have been a lot of more years in prison?
Sometimes I regret it, man, because I can tell you that my time spent in that club were some of the best years of my life. And, you know, I could have slid back in at some point down the road and kind of picked up where I left off and stuff like that. But I chose not to. I think my pride got in the way of me on that one. I was mad about how a few things went inside prison and stuff. So when I left, I said, that's good enough. And then the people I hooked up with down the road to continue on with my life and what I did for a living, they told me basically straight out, we don't want to deal with bikers. So
now when you were in the club, remember when the guy stole the money for the people that were in prison?
Yeah.
Now that you've been to prison,
well, that's the thing, man.
You look back at that situation, are you like, damn, I can't believe he would do that?
Before I got arrested, my brother up the road got arrested, and I grabbed 10 grand out of my own money and ran it down to a lawyer in Toronto and bought him the best lawyer I could get him in Ontario. And you know, I took care of that. And then when he was in there, I sent in the money to the right place to make sure he got some tobacco, because they've made tobacco contraband in the Canadian jails over the years. Yeah. And then a week later, I got arrested.
You know, so what? You don't have money for your own lawyer, right? Because you gave it all to him.
Right. Now I got to pay for 2 lawyers, and I still got to get an income coming in, because now the expenses are going out of your ass, right? And the rest of it, I ended up on range with my brother, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, let's watch the news at 6, and I'm sure they'll tell us." And there it was, you know, the street blocked off, all the guys with their stupid machine guns for me. At the end, the guy called me, and I walked out the front door.
I'm surprised that they let you guys be together, being co-defendants.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't know. That'd be the jail's call, right? So
they used to put me on no contact with my co-defendants. Like they wouldn't have us near each other, you know.
It's strange how they do that in the Canadian jails, and that's usually in the buckets. We call them the bucket, right? That the county jail is what it is. where you get held where you're waiting for your trial.
Yeah, but you can conspire with him to get the stories together, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They had me in another guy's cell somewhere along my time in there, and he was up on some bad charges. Some people were missing digits and stuff like that. And the guy looked at me, he goes, "Look, I know you're in the club and stuff." He said, "But when we get in our cell, we don't talk about our cases." And he was right. The jail had fucking bugged our cell to see what we were talking about.
I guarantee it, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of times when they say they got a jailhouse snitch, they just bugged your cell. They don't got a snitch actually saying it. They just can't say that they bugged your cell because it's not constitutional. They didn't have a warrant.
And it's easy as hell for them to bug your cell.
There's vents everywhere.
Yeah, either they do it through the vent or they have intercom systems in a lot of the cells where you got to hit the button to call to get out of
where they got the button. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just crazy, man.
That's funny, Craig. Yeah, Al Sharpton will be up there at the bar.
Yeah, they'll be out there protesting and all this. I think it's a crazy misunderstanding. Not a misunderstanding with the beating the guy up, because that was uncalled for. I think these other people are yelling the racial slurs. It's going on to the club. It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And that's it, basically.
Because the Outlaws are pretty powerful in Indiana. And the cops have had a run at them, as those newspaper reports you read tell us. The cops have had a run at them a bunch of times. So that one story that you read, they did a multi-year investigation, and they charged on 2 guys.
Yeah.
And the sentence totals, I think, we're right around 10 years for 2 guys. So for the amount of money spent for the payback that they got, they're behind. And they don't like that. Like when they, after I was in the club, I got picked up on another case, a big cane chase case, and they had to drop our charges because they lied on the audio recording warrants. They lied and they didn't follow their own rules, so they had to drop our charges. Man, oh man, I was afraid to drive around that city.
They don't like that. When they lose, they're like, we'll get them one way or another, right? Whether it's the legit way or the not legit way.
Yeah, they doubled down. I left. I moved back down south. I didn't even hang around to find out. Nope, I'm leaving.
Yeah, I got a friend that happened to. He got railroaded pretty good. He was on the phone with me, and they tried to say that he was pointing a weapon at cars.
Unbelievable, eh?
There's video of him on the phone with me.
And that's all it takes is they just got to say it. Now you're on charges. Now you got to.
After that, right? We're on the phone, and he's like, hold on. He's like, hold on. What? He's like, are you talking to me? He was looking for something in his car. He was going through an email, right? He was going through emails. He's looking for an email that I sent him. He's parked in front of this business, and there's a camera pointed at his car. So, like, he's on camera the whole time.
Yeah.
The cops come up and say, we got a report that you were pointing a gun at a car, waving a gun at cars. The newspaper writes in the news article, they write in the news article, man pointing gun at cars.
Right, so he's guilty already.
They never found a gun. There was no gun. But when the cops came, he just walked away. He walked away and walked into the house.
Yeah.
And they ran in there, grabbed him, brung him outside, handcuffed him.
So they screwed him on his Fourth Amendment rights.
Everything, man. And then they find out there is no gun, but they still run the article saying that there was a gun. And they basically force him to plead out to some bullshit.
Wow.
Yeah.
For talking on his cell phone.
For talking on his cell phone.
Now, how did they do bail down in your country? You guys got bail bondsmen and stuff. So if you can pay for it, you can get out, kind of. Is that the way it goes?
Yeah, it depends on what the crime is. Some states don't have bond. Some states, if you commit a serious crime, you won't get a bond.
You stay in.
Yeah, but Connecticut, you have to have a bond no matter what it is. It could be millions of dollars.
And if you can come up with 10% of it cash, you can walk out.
Yeah,
more or less.
but normally it's way less than 10%.
Oh, is it? Oh,
So
that's
say
cool.
say say I have a $10,000 bond, you come up with like $300 to let you out. Like
That's
30% of the 10%, and then make a payment plan.
yeah.
Every state is different.
Okay. So in Canada, it's not easy to get bail up here. So bail up here, we don't have companies that'll bond you out. So if they set bail at 100 grand, and your people on the street can come up with 10 grand of it, and then they'll put their house on the line for you, their vehicles, big assets, and then they become your surety, and that person has to keep an eye on you the whole time. And if you breach anything, that person's legal obligation is to report you to the court and have your bail revoked.
So he could just call and have it revoked, though, right? He could get
right.
pissed, you would say, "Hey, listen, come get him."
And that's the problem. So there's that side of it. That's a big problem of it. A lot of people don't have people on the outside that have this stuff. So if you're poor and you're from a poor family, you're staying in jail. And if it takes 3 years to get in front of a judge for your trial, so be it.
And normally it does. It'll
Right.
take that long to even process a case, right?
It usually takes 2 years on a murder trial or a big trial. It usually takes 2 years in Canada. Now in Canada, they've got a ruling saying if you're not brought up in a timely fashion, that's how it's worded. So if it's a big case, a timely fashion could be 4 years.
Yeah.
If it's running a red light, a timely fashion should be 30 days. So that's a pretty big variance, right? So there was a big case with the Angels up here on some crazy gambling charges.
I remember that. I remember.
Yeah, and they had to withdraw them charges because they didn't get it done in a timely fashion.
And now people are getting killed from that case.
Now people are getting killed from it, and the government has in their possession over $100 million worth of cash and properties and cars and shit.
And they're supposed to give it back. They won't
give it back. They're taking it to court saying we're keeping it. And the other thing they do in Canada, which is something they probably borrow from the States, is if they accuse you of saying having a plate of cane, and even if you beat the charges, they'll do some crazy math to figure out what they think you profited off that and send you a tax bill.
What?
So these guys get wiped out from CRA. So I think a lot of these guys in this photo are going to receive a tax bill.
Well, a couple of them are already gone. A couple of them are dead.
Yeah.
Another one had an attempt on his life.
Yeah.
That video of the attempt on his life is on Patreon. Go check it out. You can watch it right now. Two guys
That's the guy I used to know in my city. That's the guy I used to be buddies with. The guy
really?
Yeah.
Listen, I'll play that video. Let me see if I can find it.
You know, in the story when I say a guy has a meeting with me to tell me he became a member from over there and he was never a member of ours, but him and I were friends, that's him.
Oh, man. Really?
Yeah, he really took off when he joined that club. Like for him, it was a good business move.
Oh, that was the guy you were talking about?
Yeah.
The guy they attempted to assassinate?
Yeah.
Oh,
they tried on him twice now. They keep missing. And now, allegedly, he's in another province. He's over there with the big boys of the club now.
Here it is. I found it. That's him. That's him.
That's him in Toronto. Yeah, that's him. I used to be friends with him. For a dozen years, him and I were good friends. And then when he joined that club, him and I stopped speaking. There they are. They're coming out of that black car.
Here comes out of the car. Boom.
Wow. Pretty brazen, eh? But they didn't hit nothing.
No.
Well, except for the house. Ooh, and that's right in the city of Toronto, man, in the neighborhood.
This is all the confiscated stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the last figure I got in the Canadian news, 120 million worth of stuff. So that operation must have been really, really going crazy for a while, eh?
Hell yeah. There's him walking in. They missed him completely, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Look at these guys getting out of the car.
They got up to the edge of his fence. Should have, anyway. I won't give pointers. It's not my job. I've never done anything like that.
Did you know him from when you were working at the strip club?
Yeah, his dad owned the strip club. I knew him from when he was a teenager.
No, I don't know if they're getting arrested, Zachary. What do you think? You think them guys are gonna get arrested from the bar fight?
I don't think so.
Andrew, what's going on?
I don't. Well, you said in that story that you read that he was not cooperative during the police interview. So, if the victim's not cooperative, then they usually don't worry about it.
Yeah, but if they have a video, it's a little different.
Because they have videos and it's the club, who knows, man?
They could just pick up charges. But if they hit him with a hate crime,
I think
that
that's
would be
what they're
crazy.
gonna come after him with.
That would be crazy because the people that were filming the video are the ones that were screaming that.
Yeah.
The people right around where they were filming the video. The people that were doing the fighting weren't saying that.
And the people filming the video, couldn't they at least keep it to themselves for a day or two? They must have went home and popped that right on Facebook. Look what happened at so-and-so today.
They probably posted it from in the bar.
Maybe it's a lie. Right? Probably a lie, for God's sakes.
It's crazy, man.
Well, listen, Bill.
I
I appreciate you getting a hold of me, bro. That was last minute. I was just walking in the door when you were calling.
Well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. And we'll do this again.
All right. Much love, brother. I'll come on anytime. Anytime I'm available, call me. I'll be there.
Definitely. Thank you, man.
Thanks, bro. Good love and respect.
Thanks, bro. Later.
Bye, Chad. Bye, Tommy. Bye, guys. Good talking to you.
Peace. All right. So I appreciate all you guys for joining me today. I want to say rest in peace to Heidi, my friend who passed away. Very sad situation. Sending prayers to her family. And we got a lot of content dropping. I'm going to be dropping some videos today. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you. If you guys like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this show, you already know what to do. Start your own fucking podcast. I appreciate all you guys. And remember, don't be a bitch.
And all new at 5, a major organized crime bust. 23 people under arrest now accused of stealing guns and cash.
Today, police revealed 4 organized crime groups are wreaking havoc.
From aggravated robbery to kidnapping, burglary, and more. Let's take a look at this. New pictures from court documents in this case. These are a few of the people who have been charged. And investigators say the money, tens of thousands of dollars, is all stolen.